Hi there, welcome back. It's been a while. Still a lot of financial problems, mostly because of this old girl here, costing me a lot of money. It's Pippi, almost 15 years old. But we're going to do a Battle of Algiers today. It's going to be a one-shot review with no edits or screenshots added because I do not have that equipment anymore. Still working on getting something good to do that with, but let's talk about this unbelievable film and the new 4K restoration release of it, which I have on screen here at the moment. Okay, so we have the original Criterion release and the new Cult Films release, which I got out of the UK. The UK release from Cult Films boasts a new 4K restored limited collector's edition with booklet. As far as the picture, I've done comparisons between the two releases, the much older Criterion release and the new 4K restoration, which according to this was actually nominated for Best Restoration in 2016, so it must have been a couple of years ago that they completed this restoration. It has its ups and downs. I'm pretty sure there's going to be varying opinions on the comparison between these two releases. The new restoration is quite a bit darker than the Criterion release. It also has a really pushed up contrast. I don't know if I would say to go so far as say there's black crush, but there is seems to be losing detail in how dark they've pushed, how extreme they've pushed the contrast compared to the original. There are some scenes where I think it's hard to tell what the original presentation looked like. It's supposed to look like a newsreel docudrama, but I don't know if the contrast would have been pushed that heavy. But compared to the Criterion release, it has a lot of damage removed. It's a lot more stable and definitely a lot less flicker. It's going to be personal opinion, or personal taste I should say, to which people prefer. I'm actually jury is out going back between them. I like things about the older looking release, and I like things about the new one and dislike stuff about both of them. So yeah, it's an interesting quandary for purchasers, but less about the picture. I'm not sure. I will say one last thing is that to me, I'm not sure if there is more detail in the new one, or perhaps there is more detail in the light scenes, but in the darker scenes, because of the contrast, you seem to lose a bit of detail. So it's hard to tell. Really, unless I had them side by side. I've just been putting one in for 5 minutes and then playing the same scene on the other one and having a look and trying to look at certain details. What else should I say? The sound is good in both. This one is stereo, this one is mono. Sorry, this one is stereo, this one is mono. But they both sound great. They have different special features, which we'll go to in a second, and different packaging, but both have serious booklets. Now, the Battle of Algiers itself is about a colonial battle between Muslims and the French in Algiers. It's set in the 1950s. This film is a masterclass in tension and building and realism. It's such a great film. It's one of the all-time masterpieces. Has an Ennio Morricone score, which the director Pontecorvo worked with him on the score, which is quite intense. It's one of the best scores, one of my favorite scores, I should say. And it's a great film. Now, as far as the special features go, there are different special features. I think the Criterion has got more going for it, as far as it's got a lot of real historical documentaries. It's got a whole second disc on the history of the film. This new one, though, has some really interesting special features, so I'm going to be keeping both of these releases, as the special features are very different, but they're both very worthy. There's an interview with the director on this new cult films release. There's the real Battle of Algiers, an interview with producer and real guerrilla fighters from that period of time in Algiers. And there's a 4K restoration featurette, which is quite extensive. There's another feature called Our War for Freedom, which is an interview with a fighter from that time who was portrayed in the film. So that's a real coup there. An exclusive interview with director Ken Loach, and another one with Paul Greengrass. That's two directors who admire the film very much, and a really interesting booklet. As far as the layout, this new one here has a different cover, a reversible cover, which I've reversed to this sort of old school one, and then it has Blu-ray and DVD in here, and then a very similar cover to the cardboard slip there. The booklet is very wordy, with some pictures also, a lot of cool information in there. Similar to the Criterion one, has a very extensive booklet. I'm not going to go into the Criterion one because it's an older release, but this new release compares with a different, very different looking restoration, different special features, an all new excellent booklet. Between the two, you've got a real wealth of information on this film and the history of that period of the time the film is displaying. So I think real fans of the film will probably want both. We'll say that the Criterion is Region A locked, and this new cult films release is region free. Thanks for watching.